Hi there, my name is Aaron Lanterman. I'm a professor of electrical and computer engineering at Georgia Tech, and my students in my guitar amplification and effects class, AC4C1, are laughing in the background because I start all my videos like that. Anyway, today in class I had the students take apart amplifiers, and we're going to go through the amplifiers they took apart, and then the students are going to put them back together. So here's a Fender Bassman. This is probably from the 1970s. My grandfather found this at a garage sale and fixed it up. Later, I gave it to a friend who later gave it back, but in the meantime, his father replaced the original two-prong plug with a proper grounded connection here. And one thing you always have to remember about guitar amplifiers is they're operating at high voltages. These haven't been turned on in a long time, but you still want to be careful poking around. If it has been on recently, you want to make sure that the capacitors are properly discharged. You do not want to do this with a screwdriver. You want to do it with a proper resistive discharger. Anyway, over here we have a couple of 6L6s. These are the power output stage tubes. So over here we have, actually, there's 3 transformers in here. I would have to go back and look and think about what all they're doing. But this is probably the output transformer. This matches the impedance of the tubes to the speaker. And that's something you don't need in transistor amplifiers. So part of the reason tube amplifiers are a lot heavier on average than your typical transistor amp is not just the tubes, it's the fact that you have to have this other transistor in here. Under this box here, we have the capacitors for the power supply. So those have their own special box to prevent the musicians from sticking their fingers in and poking around. So if I flip this up, I'm wanting to avoid putting any leverage on the tubes or the controls, you'll see that there's no circuit board here. This is all turret style construction. So it's just a board, they drill some holes, they put the turrets in, and this is all what they'll call point-to-point wiring. If you look at early televisions, you'll see massive rat's nest of point-to-point wiring, all done in a factory by humans, no robots involved. And I don't know, it kind of triggers me to look at. But in a way, it's its own beautiful thing. Notice that the tubes are separate from the PCB, so those are mounted into the chassis itself. Some people will argue that that's more reliable. I'm not sure about that. And the potentiometers are also just separately mounted, the front panel with wires going from the front panel to the PCB. The transformer is all separately wired down here. This amplifier is suffering from a hum, which is most likely dying electrolytic caps in the power supply. So at some point, my son and I are going to swap those out, and we'll make sure they're properly discharged before poking around too much. There's another electrolytic cap here. That's the bypass cap for the output stage of the amplifier, and we'll want to remember to swap that out too, because electrolytics, they can have problems over time. One other thing I'll mention about this, it came without a grounded cable, and it had the switch back here. All that does is swap the prongs going in. So in theory, one of these would typically have less hum than the other, but it would basically just swap the neutral and the hot. So not necessarily the safest thing in the universe. Now we're up to the 1980s. This is a Marshall amplifier, and this one is very weird. It's a hybrid amplifier, so it's part transistor and part tube. Most modern amplifiers like this, if they're hybrid, they'll have a preamp that's all tube, but then they'll have a transistor output stage. This one's weird. It has a tube output stage, so it has another transformer, a second transformer beyond the power supply transformer for the impedance matching, but the preamp stage is all solid state, including a couple of clipping diodes in a configuration that's like a Marshall blues breaker pedal. So it kind of has a built-in distortion. This belonged to my friend Eric in high school, and I bought it off of him at some point, and we did a ton of recording of this amp at my house, so it has a special memory to me. There was one time where we tried to use just the tube distortion, so we set it in the clean mode and cranked all the knobs all the way up, and I basically hit record and then ran upstairs, and Eric recorded it under headphones upstairs because the amp was just incredibly loud, but we got a great tone there. So you'll see that this is a little bit different. This is now 1980 style construction. We have a circuit board. It's one-sided, which at the time would save money. Nowadays, you can get a two-sided board for the same price as one-sided if you're ordering from JLC PCB or something. Notice that there are then a bunch of little jumpers here because this is a one-sided board. Although a lot of places where there are jumpers marked aren't fitted, so maybe it's for a couple different designs. They're using the same board, I'm not sure. Notice also now that the knobs are actually mounted in the PCB itself. So that's kind of part of what's holding everything together here. So that saves on construction costs. You're not paying somebody to wire between the PCB on the knob. Also notice now that the jacks that were separately mounted on the back plate on the last amplifier that we looked at, the Fender, the jacks are now mounted to the PCB, another cost-saving measure. But this transformer over here and the tubes are separately mounted into the chassis, so there's separate wires going over here. Look at that big resistor there. It's heavy.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Does the newer construction style make it harder to repair if, let's say, one of your potentiometers breaks? Like if someone twists it too far and just breaks the potentiometer and then you have to take the whole board out?
Actually, it does, because then you have to take the whole board out. A general rule about electronics is the newer it is and the cheaper it is to manufacture, the harder it is to repair. And if you ever question that, just try fixing your MacBook. Okay, over here, they took apart my Vox amplifier. And I believe the student in the last session that took this apart told me that it says 2014 somewhere on the PCB. There's little hooks here where you can unhook the speaker. So this is a combo amplifier, meaning it has a speaker built in, unlike the other amplifiers we looked at that would need to have a separate cabinet with the speakers that you could hook to. And one of the biggest parts of your guitar tone isn't the amplifier, it's the speaker and the kind of cabinet you put in. So there's all sorts of design choices involved there. My colleague Alan Robinson teaches a class called ECE 4445, which is technically called audio engineering, but that's a little bit of a misnomer. It makes people think it's about mixers and stuff like that, but really it's about electroacoustics. So a lot of things on speaker design and speaker cabinet design and things. So anyway, over here we have this much more modern construction. Notice that we have a PCB. It's still one-sided, so that's a cost-saving measure, so there's a lot of little jumpers in there. We have the two transformers here because, again, we need the power supply transformer and the impedance matching transformer for the output speaker. Here, the front control panels are mounted on the PCB. Also notice that the tubes are mounted on the PCB. Now, this is a much lower wattage amplifier, so the output tube here is a lot smaller than the tubes that you saw on the previous amplifiers, but it's still plenty loud. But yeah, so if you want to fix this pot, you got to pull these off. You got to take the whole board out. But on the older amp, you can just swap out the pot. So the older stuff's a lot easier to fix. Hope that was fun. All right, thank you very much.